Over the years, it had got to be a bit of a game, I suppose. Sometimes he would give them to me right away, but then other times he'd make me wait until I couldn't stand anymore and I'd ask, "Dad, where are they?" And he'd act all embarrassed and say he'd forgotten. But he never forgot. And so my collection grew. A deck of cards from every place he traveled for work. Big cities like Las Vegas and Boston and Miami and even New York. Or places that I'd never heard of. And he'd tell me all about Eugene, Oregon, or Rapid City, or Norman. And he'd tell me stories about these places, and it was like I was there with him. Dozens of decks of cards that I kept in a secret box. King of Hearts by Wisconsin Carols. I promised him that my grades would be good. I wouldn't drink or party. I was going to be a good kid. And I was. I wanted to make my dad proud, be a big senior vice president of yada 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 myself someday. So this other kid, he was a good kid too. His name was Jack Brewer. He lived outside of Boston. He was a straight-A student. He volunteered at the Humane Society, left his mom and sisters and dogs. Sometimes. I don't even know why. I wonder what he was thinking about at the very end. I do. I don't mean to, but right before he died, Jack died when he was 16, strapped down to a chair and cut up all over, mutilated really. I probably wouldn't even have heard the story, but telling the truth is mostly an ugly business. It doesn't set you free. Instead, it drags you down into darkness. Games are safer than the truth because they have rules. It took him forever to teach me pinochle. I was always good with numbers, and I could remember the cards. We'd sit in the den for hours, and I'd watch dealt his hand after hand, the red and black of the cards. It was comforting. This was for years, you realize. All those games, all those hours of playing with him. He'd hug me and say, "Love you, Ace." 19. Sometimes I say the number a few times in my head like I'm trying to make it real. Like the number of cards left in the pile. My father was arrested boarding a flight home from Cleveland, Ohio, for murdering 19 teenage boys. And not just murdering, no, but doing awful things with blades and tools and butane torches and you laugh at first. You really do. At least, I did. Because when the center of your perfect, reconciled world is ruptured open, ripped apart, you have to. Because it's nonsense. It's a horrible, ridiculous joke. I was angry at everyone for such a long time afterwards. It's completely ridiculous, but like I said, the truth is ugly. The cops and the lawyers and the people who call at all times of the day. Imagine going to school with this stuff on the news. You can't. You can try, but you can't. We went every day to the trial. The lawyers picked out all the clothes that we had to wear, and they brought in this horrible woman to coach us. And she told us when to smile, when to sit forward, and when to lean back. She showed us video clips of appropriate emotional responses. But they, the attorneys, the prosecutors, they show pictures. And so I met them that way. The boys, Brandon, Elliot, Robbie, Rick, Kai, Chase, Simon, Sergo, Stephen, all of them. I saw them happy with their families, their girlfriends and boyfriends and puppies and kitties. I saw them blowing out candles on their birthday cakes when they were 6. I saw them accepting awards and scoring touchdowns and taking selfies and posting mindless crap on Facebook. And then I saw them afterwards. Every one of them, strapped to a chair, eyes glassy and gray, faces like bloated fish, cut or twisted or ripped or burned. And they show you all of it, you know. They don't hide it, that truth. But me, I'm watching my dad. And I know the truth. The man who called me ace and told me I was a superstar and taught me cards, that man, he didn't do this. He didn't do any of this. And I was pissed. I was so angry, you know. But I kept looking straight ahead, just like the lady told me. It was towards the end when they showed us the cards. The news didn't know about this. They showed us the card that was left with each of the boys. Eric, or Lucas, or Riley. Left with each of them was a single card. Always the same one. The King of Hearts. And I'm staring up at these big, awful photos, and I'm not thinking right. I'm sicker than ever. But you know where I went straight as I got home, right? I went straight for that box, the box that nobody else knows how to find. It's filled with stories of cities, Charlotte, and Denver, and Eau Claire, and Juneau. So many cities. My fingers are slick as I'm opening the box because I will count every single one of those decks. My life depends on it. The first, 52. 52 cards. They're all there. And the second, 52. And the third, 52. My dad didn't do this. And the fourth, 52. But the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth decks. And the 13th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 20th. And well, you know, don't you? Each one of those is missing a single card. The King of Hearts. And my heart, good God, I want to be 8 again and playing bridge with my father, but instead, I'm strapped down to a chair. I'm naked. My name is John, and towering over me is my father, a demented surgeon, and he's cutting and cutting, and I'm dying. He tortured and murdered 19 boys. He took propane torches and burned he carved out their eyes. They come to visit me, the boys. They do. My father will be sentenced next week. Another grand show. I saw him the day before yesterday, and even though I promised myself I would never go again, I did. He pressed his big hands up against the glass, and I imagined those terrible things. But then, I was 7 again, and he's just my dad. I just want him to be my dad. That's all. That's all I want. I just want to play cards with my dad again. I dreamt last night, as I seem to much of the time now. Greg Sato was his name. He was covered in gray roses and his mouth was stitched closed. He was naked. There were patches of black all over him. Dried blood. He's screaming, but I can't hear him. He has the number 19 painted in dried blood on his bare chest. I hold him, and I don't know if he can hear me, but even though I know it's an awful lie, I tell him that things will be okay, because the truth is an ugly, brutal thing.